My name is Ida Kenna. I organize with the Greater Baltimore DSA, and in particular with our Palestinian Solidarity Working Group, which I helped found. I'm a proud member of the Howard County for a Free Palestine Coalition, which includes proudly our Councilmember Walsh, and I'm so grateful that she has sponsored and introduced CR22, our local ceasefire resolution. I've spent much of my time these last few months focused simply on unifying Americans around the demand for a permanent ceasefire, a relatively small ask, considering a ceasefire wouldn't really end the genocide of Palestinians by Israel, a genocide which has gone through phases of occupation, encroachment, and military assault, a process of replacement which has continued even during times of relative peace, if any period of apartheid can be called that. But many, mostly politicians, have responded by saying it isn't relevant for them to speak on the genocide of Palestinians because it isn't a local issue. One council member even called our campaign for a ceasefire divisive. But we aren't what's divisive, the issue is. It's divisive because it forces people to take a stance, either for the right of a religious ethno-state to exist, a colonial project constructed by anti-Semites who took advantage of a refugee crisis they contributed to, built to fight Arab nationalism and multicultural socialism in the wake of colonialism, or to oppose apartheid and genocide. The issue is also very much local. Like much of the country, Maryland has Palestinian residents who have experienced a spike in hate crimes since the October 7th attacks, as have other Arab and Muslim people, even as many suffer the brutal murder of their families by apartheid forces. Teachers are placed in administrative leave for advocating for Palestine on their social media accounts. Workers are told they can't wear keffiyehs. Right here in Howard County, a student was told Palestine is dead and all Muslims should die. Just this week, a local anti-ceasefire organization described our movement as violent and unsafe, attempting to prompt a defensive hostility and policing, playing into racist tropes. This is how the majority of politicians, including a majority of Democrats, have treated the popular movement for peace and an end to apartheid. We have been met with repression and scorn in the ripples of the collective punishment we are forced in horror to observe in Palestine. Just days after the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to stop its apparent genocide last Friday, and almost immediately thereafter, U.S. District Court Judge Jeffrey White urged the Biden administration to consider how they were enabling a plausible genocide. The U.S.-led project of collective punishment retaliated by pulling funding from the UN Relief and Works Agency, Palestine's largest humanitarian aid provider. This follows months of the Israeli offensive forces murdering over 150 of their workers in Palestine without justification. The justification for this defunding was Israel's accusation that the UN RWA is working with Hamas, the same justification they used to intentionally target civilians in Palestine, murdering over 30,000 and flattening over 80% of their homes, displacing around 2 million, over 80% of the Gazan population. Demands for a ceasefire are a local issue here, as they are in cities all over this country, with 48 already passing through city councils. Howard County Civil Rights Commission and County Council International Solidarity was relevant when it came to Ukraine, and I have to ask, why not here? Municipal ceasefire resolutions represent the will of residents, which pressures our legislators to fix the gap between how many Americans oppose genocide and how many American politicians do. They also encourage state lawmakers to support statewide ceasefire resolutions which do the same. Only when we've secured a ceasefire can we talk the solution to Israeli occupation and apartheid, which is the only way to true peace and equality. All of this builds our movement for further justice. One day we will have a truly democratic Palestine, and the world will take responsibility for the welfare of marginalized scapegoated groups rather than attempting to use them as colonial pawns. We will look back at this genocide as a fact of history, one that many of us came to fight eventually, even as many others chose to support it. My question to the Howard County Council is this: which side are you on?